Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about how to make our gains as lean as possible. And this is something I focused more on in this last year. I did my last bulk, and people noted, they're like, wow, you look leaner at the end of your bulk and when you started. And I'm someone who's noted online for never really being that lean. But I started taking it a little more seriously, and I'm like, let me focus on making lean gains this last year and working with a lot more of my clients on that. And then now that I've started cutting, I'm getting decently lean relatively quickly because I didn't gain any body fat. So some of the take homes and things that I've learned over the years dealing with different coaches, different lifters, my own observations, my own knowledge of nutrition, there are some keys that people have to accept if they want leaner gains. All right, number one, if you want to gain muscle, the highest ratio of muscle to fat, number one, you've got to learn to control your appetite, okay? We need to be clear here. And this is not a problem for people who struggle to eat. I'm not talking about the hard gainer, because the hard gainer tends to make lean gains if they just eat high protein. That is all they have to do to make sure that they gain almost no fat on the bulk. Just keep their protein high. And a lot of times they can squeeze other stuff in. I'm talking about for people who struggle with not gaining weight, right? Whose bulks tend to get out of control very, very quickly. So as far as controlling appetite goes, obviously we want high protein. And I've discussed before that really high protein intakes are extremely valuable for making leaner gains for a whole host of reasons. Okay, if your budget and your palate allows for it, even protein overfeeding. Well, what does that mean? We're talking 3 grams per kilogram of body weight. All right. So we're talking about oftentimes you guys hitting 300 plus grams of protein a day. All right. When I talk about protein overfeeding, that is what I am talking about. But you may not need to do that much. Just keep the protein really high. In other words, think of protein as almost a lever for controlling appetite and body composition rather than, hey, how much do I need to gain muscle? Because for most of you out there, 150, 160 grams, for most grown men, might be all that you need to maximize muscle growth. But that's not what we're talking about. That's also considering a pretty big surplus. All right, protein is high on the list, though, of controlling appetite. Okay, and we need to be clear here. Keep the protein high. And if you're still struggling with it, the higher the better. Number two, look at other methods that you can use to tightly control your calorie intake. What does that mean? For some people, that's going to be really high carb, really low fat. That is extremely effective for me personally. That is what I did earlier this year for a long time. Actually worked pretty dang good. And when I mean low fat, I'm talking down to the essentials, like how much fat do I need to maintain health? What's the bare minimum, like 20, 30 grams? So it was that low. And that's perfectly reasonable in that environment. Then you can focus on carbohydrates, fuel your training, get plenty of phytonutrients, all of those things. Because again, if you're focusing on mostly whole foods and you're not eating a bunch of junk, and I'm not saying you can't work a little in, but it needs to be minimized, okay? Needs to be minimalized. In other words, this whole flexible dieting approach, 20% of your calories can come from complete garbage. No, that's not ideal in this situation. It really isn't. You need to stick to mostly whole foods. Occasional treat here or there. It shouldn't really be a daily thing. It definitely shouldn't be an everyday 7-day-a-week thing. Keep the food clean. Or for a lot of people, it's keeping carbs quite low, saying, okay, what's the minimum carbs I need to fuel my training? Fats fill me up, and filling up on good healthy fats, right? Filling up on healthier fats. That does not mean butter, by the way. Okay, some eggs are probably fine, some cultured dairy, cheeses and yogurts. That as far as animal stuff goes, but otherwise it needs to be nuts and seeds, right? Olives, avocados, nuts. That stuff. Healthy fats, guys. Fatty fish. Those are your friends. So you can go that route. Okay? You can go that route. Go hard in the vegetables. Few things to think about. Higher nutritional content, all the phytonutrients, other stuff will help control inflammation. It will help you recover from training, and it will help keep you fuller. All right? Those are high on the list. Absolutely high on the list. But these different strategies work. And I find for most people, either the higher fat with just enough carbs to fuel training, focusing on good, healthy, clean fat so we don't create any insulin resistance. Again, that's not a recipe to eat bacon and butter. Okay, and I want to be clear here. Most of that should be plant source. Again, olives, avocados, nuts, those things. You guys know what healthy fats are. Don't pretend that you don't. Or you can go the higher carbohydrate route, and you can get away with some stuff like some white rice or some pasta and things. But I would push in the direction of higher fiber carbohydrates, beans, oats, fruit. Fruit is great. I did a lot of fruit on my last lean bulk. Very, very successful. I ate a ridiculous amounts of watermelon, for example. Like it was a staple for a big chunk of that. Melons, berries. Oh yeah. But I went hard in the watermelon and cantaloupe. All right, it works very, very well. Again, controls appetite, good training fuel. Again, you get a lot of potassium and electrolytes from a lot of the fruit. But a chicken, rice, and vegetable-based diet works really well in this context also. Throw in some Greek yogurt or some, Fairlife milk, fat-free Fairlife milk or something if you need definitely the additional protein. Protein shakes are good. Again, if you're going to overfeed a bit, slamming protein shakes. And that's just another option for people for convenience. I'm not saying it's necessary. It's just a helpful tool, right? For some people, fasting. Now, we can argue all day long about fasting and muscle protein synthesis, but controlling appetite, it absolutely works. Getting a lot of food in, nutrition as you're getting closer to bed, helps with recovery, will help with muscle growth. Okay? A lot of people, some people find training on too full of a stomach impacts training negatively. Some people benefit from training fasted. Now, definitely not everyone, but if you can pull it off, the main thing is the post-workout nutrition kind of matters, but fasting is absolutely a tool for people because the main thing is you need to keep the weight gain very, very, very slow. Okay, in fact, if you want to make really serious lean gains, you got to keep weight gain reeled in to a very, very small amount, to about the amount of muscle you think you're going to gain. Keep protein really high, and then use any of these other strategies, whether it's low fat, lower carb, fasting, vegetables high. These are going to be your keys to making leaner gains. All right, you really shouldn't be getting sloppy when you bulk. All right, the guys who do that are usually on a lot of gear. A lot of what they're gaining is water and bloat, and you may not realize it. They may not be gaining as much fat as you think they are on those bulks. Just put that into perspective, because they're on a lot of things that inhibit fat gain while making you hold extra water. They're not always getting as sloppy as you think they are. In some cases they are, but often they are not. Just be aware of that when you see some of these bodybuilders doing it. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.